All right, we're now joined via video link by Programs Director at Save the Children South Africa, Megan Briede. Megan, thank you so much for your time this afternoon. So, just looking at this case, so now we know charges against one of the accused in the Joslin Smith case have now been withdrawn. And yet the disappearance of the 6-year-old little girl remain an unsolved mystery. Just your thoughts about this case so far?
Well, I think the transferring of the case to the High Court is a very positive outcome. It means that the seriousness of these offences has been acknowledged and the complexity of this case, escalated. But I do feel for the family and the community, it is hard that at this stage there's still no positive news on Joslin.
When this case broke out just days after Joslin went missing in February in Saldanha Bay, while in the care of her mother's boyfriend, a number of questions were, of course, raised in terms of, Joslin's mother, Kelly's role. The state now saying that in this case, the mother had planned to have her 3 children taken away or sold months prior. What would the circumstances of a mother be in orchestrating a kidnapping or even a trafficking, not 1, but 3 of her own children?
I think for most of us as mothers, it feels horrific to hear that somebody would deliberately sell their children and put them in harm's way. But I think there's always very complex situations within the families within our country, issues of possible drug addiction, economic hardships, challenges within relationships, dependency in certain relationships, especially domestic relationships, can all contribute to people making such a tough or really heinous, I would say more, decision to consider selling their own children.
We just heard, from the grandmother not too long ago that, Joslin, it was Joslin's birthday. Just looking at what happened, when she disappeared, we know that, of course, an extensive search involving even Interpol, was even extended beyond South Africa's borders, yielding no results, no trace. 8 months on, what are the chances, particularly as we look at, the kidnapping of a child or possibly human trafficking of a child, that, 8 months on, she may be found or that she's still alive?
Well, I think it's hard to say, and always in life you want to hold out the hope that she will be found safe. But of course, the longer a case goes on, the worse the outcome is expected. I do think, though, it says a lot for South Africa that we continue to build our relationships with organizations like Interpol. We need to be actively participating in tracking crime syndicates, especially those that are dealing in the trafficking of children.
Especially because our conversation is in October. Not too long from now, we'll be right in the middle of a busy festive season. What measures, are there for caregivers and parents specifically? What measures do you think they can take during this period? Most parents are still working, and what normally happens and what tends to happen during that time is that many children are looked after by extended families, etc., or sent to go and live with relatives. What advice can you give then during this busy time?
Yeah, absolutely. I think the most important thing is start thinking now about your care plan for your child. Who is the person who's going to look after your child? And establish with your child and that particular person a check-in routine. So throughout the day, making sure, where is the child? Is the child happy? Is everything okay? Your check-in routines are really important because the faster you can identify any problem, the better the outcome. Very importantly, and parents don't often think of this, is making sure that you and your child have agreed on your safety words. So, for example, we presume that it's strangers that take our children, but very often it can be somebody within the community known to the child, and then who poses themselves as coming to assist on your behalf, make sure you have a safety word. If that person does not know that word or that code or whatever it is you establish, you train your child. You do not go until mommy or daddy has given you the go-ahead personally. You hear it from that person and their voices. Also, really important is we do leave our children often in the care of older siblings. And we need to acknowledge that it's also that sibling's school holidays, their break. So in your care plan with your child, make sure you give room for the older sibling to also, have some of their holiday, experience some of their own time, because very often we do find situations where an older sibling goes off to meet her friends and neglects the care of the younger child. So it's a whole planning and educating of our children with regards to the dangers. The other really important thing is listen to your children. If your child is showing any resistance in not wanting to go to a particular holiday camp or holiday activity or family member or friend, find out why. Very often there's reasons. Our children do not just automatically want to be difficult and make things difficult. They're experience something, they're uncomfortable. Open up those discussions with your children. It's the best way to protect our children, and it's the best way to identify problems early on. And I think those are just some starting. And of course, online safety, major issue. This is a time where we have online predators who know children's parents are still at work, inviting them out, engaging them. So make sure your children understand the risks and making sure that you know where they are at all times and they tell you where they're going at all times.
Megan, thank you so much for that. Really do appreciate your time. Megan Briede is with the Save the Children South Africa. She's the program director there. As of course, we continue then to give you the very latest out of that court case in terms of the Joslin Smith matter. Of course, Laurentia Lombard, accused number 4, charges against her have been withdrawn, and the matter has now been transferred to the Cape High Court in Cape Town.